right, so today's pretty bad. Um, Higher time frame order flow and lower time frame order flow are not aligned at all. So, actually, that's not true. Yes, they are. I mean, we're respecting bullish PD arrays. So, like, overall, we're bullish right now. We just have this conflicting draw, right? And so, whenever we have a conflicting draw, it just makes for worse PA. And then, usually, when we sweep out one side, that'll be like when price kind of cleans up. And so while we're between both, it's best to just like not do anything like Dodgy said. So that's probably going to be my plan at least for this morning. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, we have like reversal during London session, right? Which would usually mean that New York should have like a Judas swing and then have a continuation of London. And so what we're seeing right now, where price just continues to move up here, makes sense. But we never got our Judas swing, so that's the part that really doesn't make sense. 4 hours Cibi. I mean, it's fine. It's just fine. We have this 30-second inverse that's coming up here. So this could be interesting once that gets inversed, or the 1 minute. Or, yeah, just the one. I think I'd want to see this inversed. I think it makes the most sense. Let's think about like 50% here as well. So yeah, 50% lines up pretty nicely with this high. So that's what I would be targeting right now is like 9-10, and then maybe we'll see what price wants to do from there, kind of the reaction it gives, and then depending on that reaction, we can continue to look for longs if we like inverse this 30-minute or 15-minute or whatever it is, and then continue to see the highs. Would we now have a 4-hour protected low? Yeah, because we put in the swing. So yeah, I mean, right now these conditions just aren't very good. We're struggling to put in 1 minute for value gaps. This is like the first one we've put in since the one we put in at open, and then the one right there. So 1 minute for value gaps all day. That's not really good. Siraj, my draws on liquidity are constantly changing, and just because one of them gets hit doesn't mean that I get off for the day. Obviously, superior draws will always be better for the trades we take, but I mean, if there's like data highs that get hit, but we still have like good equal lows, or we have like unfilled higher time frame inefficiencies, or even like LRLR, like that's still reason for me to stay on the charts, right? Just because my one draw got taken out doesn't mean that I'm gonna get off. So yeah, so now we're seeing reversal after the 950 macro with an SMT at the high. So like if we inverse this 1 minute to the downside, that's order flow in the lower time frame not aligning with the higher time frame, which is just like really bad PA. So yeah, it looks like we're gonna see that inverse. So there's the 1 minute there. I don't think this is a good inverse to the downside because you have an internal versus external situation, and then you obviously have order flow not really being aligned. So if I had to guess, I think this fails, but we'll see. Would the external be IFG be a good short? Probably not, because it's still higher time frame order flow going against lower time frame. Good man, what's up? Huh? Yeah. Yeah, I heard you. Yeah, we have the same thoughts right now. I mean, it's an external versus internal gap, and we also have higher time frame order flow not aligning with lower time frame. Yeah, once you pass an MFFU eval Bombell, there's no activation fee. Like, there's no funding fee, so nah, you're good. Wait, Tanya's shorting this? Alright, that's all I need to hear. I'm in long. Dang, thanks, Tanya, for the liquidity. Let's go. Dang, Tanya, thanks for the liquidity. Dude, that was so kind of her. Did you guys see how she just like bang? Let's go. I actually just ordered a play. You missed it. Pump it. You're even. Actually, you might be down. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're just not him. All right, we got 1 minute left of the macro here. Do I like this short here? No, guys. The problem with taking any short right now is you're fading the higher time frame order flow. Basically, what the higher time frame order flow is evaluating 15-minute plus bearish and bullish for value gaps and seeing which ones are being respected and which ones are being disrespected. Does price look like we're disrespecting higher time frame gaps on the bullish side or the bearish side? Like, which gaps are being disrespected? The bearish ones, right? And this is kind of starting to look like a market maker model. So why would we be looking for shorts on the lower time frame? We just tapped a 4-hour bearish FEG. This one doesn't have any historical precedent though. Like we've never, this gap never sent us lower. If anything, this 4 hour is just going to get ran through. This 1 hour actually I feel has more importance than the 4 hour, because at least this 1 hour should be sent price lower, but the 4 hour hasn't done anything for us, right? And so once we get to this high here, this 1 hour high inside the gap, we can reevaluate again and say, okay, is higher time frame order flow still bullish, or are we going to soup this high and reject the 1 hour again? And once that happens, then we can say, okay, maybe we can start looking for shorts. But what would make me bearish, or what would make me consider higher time frame order flow bearish? What gap do you think getting inverse would make me think that? Yeah, the obvious 15-minute, right? So as long as we're holding this 15-minute here, I'm not going to think that the order flow is bearish, which, like, by the time we inverse this, it's going to be way too late. So that's the problem with trying to short here. That's why it's better to just long. Joshua, I will, but only in like very specific scenarios where it makes sense. Like, for example, if we sweep liquidity, but in higher time frame order flow hasn't been confirmed yet, but we get a nice, obvious textbook A plus mechanical setup, and it aligns with the macro and momentum, I'll take like that type of a trade, right? Because in that scenario, we don't really know what higher time frame order flow is, right? We just assume that it's still bullish until proven otherwise, right? If it's a short that we're taking, right? And so, like in a scenario here where we take out liquidity and then we get like a nice obvious reversal, that's when I'll take the short. So, like, I guess, right? If price came up and swept out these highs after 50%, and we got a good enough reversal on a typical day where our only draw is data lows, then yeah, maybe I'll take a short. But because we have conflicting draws and like it's just not really an easy day to tell bias on, because whenever you have draws in both directions, you can't really form a bias, since the equation for bias is draw plus delivery or order flow, whatever you want to call it. And so because you're having one side of the equation essentially be nullified because it's conflicting, then you can't really form a clear bias. You just have to kind of guess. Yeah, TB, kinda. That's the way I look at it. Is it just the 1 hour or the 1 hour high, whatever? Okay. Dude, somebody in chat said that Tanya was short, and I go, "Oh, that's the only signal I need. I'm going long." It actually printed. Like literally, she went short right at the low, and we immediately reversed. Would that 15-minute FEG hold us back? I have no idea. This unfilled one here, the only thing, you know, that I know right now is that we have a high likelihood of that getting hit, right? Because it's an unfilled higher time frame gap. So once that gets hit, we can gauge the reaction to it being hit. If it's like an IO Fed reaction and we soup 50% and we come back, then okay, that tells us maybe that we're going to get bearish here and we might see an SMR and get a reversal. If we just run through it kind of like we're running through these highs right now, then I probably would just expect higher prices. By the way, there's Dodgy's target for the options trade. Oh hell nah. So we tapped into the four, or actually we've completely violated the 4 hours. So this is kind of what I was talking about here. You guys asked me, what about the 4 hour civvy? Is that going to be important? Does the 4 hour civvy look like it has any importance to you right now? Probably not, right? So now what we have to gauge is this reaction we're going to get to 50% here. If we're just going to blast through it, or maybe we soup it or respect it or whatever. And then after that, it'll be this 15-minute. And if I had to guess, based on how price is moving to the upside here, we have one really green candle, another decently green candle, and another really green up close candle. We're probably just going to see more bullish momentum until proven otherwise. Especially given that our typical London session reversal will lead to a continuation during New York AM. So if that's the case, we'll just see price continue to move up here. This 3 minute short, if we get it, what do I think? Okay, yeah, this wouldn't be bad. Like, I see the vision, right? So let's think. We need bias, momentum, time, model. Okay, so we have bias. Bias on the lower time frame would be good for a scalp to the low, but I wouldn't take it for anything else most likely. And then momentum, we just need a good death candle, and then model, obviously we sweep liquidity, get a hopefully a V shape here. If we don't see that, then probably not a good trade, but if we did see it, then it'd be all right, I guess. But I just think we're bullish, so. Approaching 2 hour BPR. I don't really look at the 2 hour. The 2 hour kind of reminds me like the 4 minute. Am I in a trade? No, not on futures at least. Okay, so what do you guys think this reaction is telling us right now with 50%? So we're starting to stall now that we've hit 50%. I mean, typically when we start to stall around 50%, that gets my attention. That makes me start to think, okay, maybe we could see a reversal here. The problem is we left these equal highs above, and they're not really great equal highs, but I'd rather see those get swept before price coming back. So maybe we need to take one more stab at the highs, and maybe this is like potentially setting us up for accumulation, manipulation, distribution, right? With the idea that we accumulate here for a bit, and then we manipulate up into the 15-minute gap, and then we start to distribute to the downside. But overall here, I mean, pretty bullish market maker model to the upside, I think. Why not take the 1006 long? Because I mean, we just inversed a 1 minute to the downside, and then we came back up and inversed a 1 minute to the upside. This gap isn't very obvious. What else? What else? What else? Yeah, I mean, when we're inversing for value gaps both ways, I mean that's just a sign of bad price. So I don't really want to take a trade if that's happening. All right, so looks like price might put in like a 5 minute gap here that gets tapped into, and then maybe we come back up. Delivery for the short. I feel like we should go for the unfilled 15 first before shorting. Yeah, I mean that would be the idea, right? We get like accumulation here, and then we manipulate up and then distribute back down. But once again, I mean, does this 15 minute that we're trying to tap into have any significance? Yeah, I mean, we're taking a stab at something, right? Like it might work. But once again, even here, we're inversing 15 minute gaps to the upside. So we'll see. I mean, I honestly think that this is just going to be more. If we start to displace up here and tap into this, then I think we're just going to see more upside, because if price was going to reverse, it would be from here, where we swoop this high, just displace a little bit over 50%, and then come back down. If we see price continue to head up here past 50, that's like, okay, maybe we'll see a lot higher. Um, like I think it's like $300 Bombell. It's not that much. You just have to have like, oh no, it's like 350. Because minimum payout I think is 250. And you need $100 buffer. But also you need to make 5 days of $100 profit, so technically 500. Yeah. All right. So 15 minute gap about to get tapped into there. I feel like if you're in a long, it would make sense to take like a partial here. Did we hit it? Almost hit it. But yeah, also, if we're thinking about when does price normally reverse, it's usually around 10. So now that we're continuing to see price push up, and that like idea of us pushing up aligns with London, does it really make sense to get a reversal now? I mean, we'll just have to see. We still haven't tapped that 15 minute. We just barely missed it there by a tick. Maybe we tapped like a 30 minute. Nope. So yeah, all those highs align at the same spot, so we got to hit that. So best we can hope for right now is a retracement and the entry for longs. Um, yeah, probably. I mean, what we would need is like the only chance we have at a play is a retracement play that happens during the macro, because we're not going to get a model here since there's not really any liquidity to be swept. So you're going to need something that's like a V shape during the macro that's like coming off this like 1 minute unfilled gap down here. Like that's about your only chance at a play, I think. But even then, like this isn't that high quality of a setup, because you're like taking a long that's coming off a reversal that happened around 50%. All right, this 3 minute looks really interesting, at least for the next 1 minute. Didn't even tap the 15. Nope. So we're leaving like an unfilled draw there. And like it makes sense to see price chop, right? We're outside the macro now, so this is where we'll see price, consolidate. When we sweep a swing high or low, that's not classed as a liquidity sweep towards the model. Um okay, so now if we got like this swing low, this would be good enough. This is an obvious enough ITL, but like these aren't really good swing lows, right? Like this is a good swing low. This is a good swing low. Like if we swept these swing lows there, like that would be good, right? That's obviously external liquidity. So we want to take out lows like that. I mean, the idea essentially, right, is for a liquidity sweep, we need to see price stop out orders. So are there going to be any orders at these lows inside the range here? Yeah, probably not, right? So that's what you want to consider whenever you're thinking about like, okay, if we're getting a liquidity sweep here and the idea is to stop out orders, then there needs to be orders there, right? Or at least a considerable amount of them, right? Because the idea is essentially we use those stop outs to trigger our price run to the upside. Although what I've noticed is I've noticed like if we don't get a reversal during New York, um, like the typical kill zone, we'll see a reversal at like 11. But I haven't really noticed like the 10:30 time, so that's interesting. If the wick does an unmitigated FEG and an IFEG happens, is that A plus? Um, like you're saying, if like we tap into an unmitigated fair value gap and then get like a long or a short from it, can that be A plus? I don't think it can, right? Because there's no liquidity sweep, but it's still like a good play, or it can be a good play. 1 minute? No, no, this is too high up. All right, we just established that that wasn't a liquidity sweep either. It just happened on the 4 minute FEG for the long. Yeah, I mean that's like an IO Fed, right? Sorry, when do we see reversal then? Didn't hear it. Yeah, so typically we see reversal times at like 10 o'clock on like typical, NQ reversal days where we get a Judas swing or whatever. And then sometimes at 11 when we don't see New York reverse at 10. And usually that reversal time only comes if towards the end of the kill zone we end up sweeping some major liquidity. But other than that, those are like our main reversal times. I guess today you could say we kind of got it right with this is the idea for our Judas swing. We get our reversal at 10. But still, like this isn't like that textbook Judas swing, right? Textbook Judas swing is like, okay, we open, we move down, and then we get a move back up at 10. And we haven't gotten any of those type of moves like at all in like the last week. And that's been the problem with AM is that like if you're not really getting those moves, it's really hard to predict where price wants to go, especially when you have conflicting draws. What is the best session to trade right now? any session where you can get like a good sweep of liquidity, like external liquidity. Like what I would do if I was you guys and I was trying to trade is I would do what Ryan did and set alerts at the extremities of the range. Wait for those alerts to go off and then try and take a trade from there. So like in this scenario here, if I wanted to do that, good man. I was just explaining. People were getting antsy about the sessions, and I was explaining that the best thing to do right now in these price conditions is to set alerts at the extremities of the range, and just wait for them to trigger, and then that's when you trade. Because like our sessions right now just aren't giving us like our typical, good price action. Yep. Well, now we have an SMT at the high, so that's great. Yeah. People keep asking me about this 10:06 long. And for me, like the biggest issue with it is we inversed a 1 minute to the downside and then inversed a 1 minute right back up. The 10:06 long? Okay, 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 for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like this gap here, because this is the last gap in the swing that's actually holding price. That makes sense. Yeah. Damn. I guess Dodgy's dead. That's funny. Okay, okay. We just made another higher high on ES while NQ still hasn't been able to breach its second high. Yeah, no, that's pretty convincing. True, true. Nah, at the end of the day, guys, it's actually my fault. I didn't alert the 1 minute there. I should have. Did the indicator catch it? Let's check all time frames or all sizes. Oh, we're pumping. All right, let's see. No, I don't think so. Alrighty, well, there we go. Hey, so thoughts on an AMD setup here? Accumulate, manipulate up into the unfilled 15-minute gap, inverse the 1 minute, distribute down. We're in premium of the range. Goes against higher time frame order flow, but I mean, kind of technically, higher time frame order flow is now neutral. Now that we've hit this 15-minute gap. Sorry, guys, that was me. That was me trying to fade Tanya there. Yeah, just a small little DCA there, Himera, exactly. Dude, he's a hater, bro. Oh, that's funny. Hey, my contracts right now for this options play are up about 50%. Should I take profit? I just don't see a reason to. We're just kind of cutting through this 15. Four. just nothing's telling me higher time frame order flow is bearish. I mean, we're just kind of pushing up through this 15 minute. This 15 minute doesn't really have a lot of significance, so. And, and I'm finally starting to get good delta now, right? So, like, I'm actually starting to make money on these, but I don't know. I feel like this 15 minutes going to be the last thing. Usually, I just pick at the money squints on 0 days. I think what I'll do is I'll probably just cut them if the 1 minute inverses. Yeah, AMD coming off of 15. We have an unfilled 15 below as a potential draw. Oh yeah. For sure, for sure. I'd be okay with chopping around a little bit more too, because if we reverse during the macro time, that'll be better. That way, macro can distribute us. No, it's been all right. Can I stay on after 11? Yeah, I'll stay on till the end of the macro, and we'll kind of see. Yeah, like 11:10 ape off. I mean, if we have a setup forming, and it's like 11:09, like I'm not gonna get off right at 11:10. But yeah, no. Normally I don't trade after 11:10. I mean, that's like my hard cutoff time. So I don't want to change my habits just because price action isn't that good during New York. Because when price action does get good during New York, and I break the habits that I've already built up, then it's going to lead to unprofitable trading when everything's back to normal. Yeah, I'm blaming it on all-time highs. Yeah. I'm up $100 a share from when I bought. Yeah. It was like that initial 4 hour inverse, right? Let's see. It was like I feel like it was like this. No, no, that's too high up. It was actually lower than that. It was like at 17.3, I think is when it was on this pullback, right? Like this one here. It's like that or something. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's what I was talking about. Was this? Yeah, it might have been this then. I don't remember getting in at like 19K. I remember getting in at like in the 17s. So all right. Well, we got one more minute till the macro. So business as usual. Free car wash. Oh, really? Alrighty, man. Yeah, I like this candle. 1 minute short in the macro, so yeah, Vert, this will be it. Not really textbook AMD, but you know, I mean, if we just stall for the macro, that's fine. Yep. Accumulate. Wait, no. Accumulate. AMCD, right? Accumulate, manipulate, chop, distribute. Uh, Alrighty. About to be a banger. Now you should walk to the room or wherever you guys are meeting and like actively be in the play. And when you show up, just TP and be like, "Boo!" I can't run. Yeah, King, I got you. I didn't realize it cut off the time. I'll uh, I'll fix that going forward. Is a 30-second gap a concern? Nah. I mean, yes, because we're fading higher time frame order flow by taking this short, kinda. But like, if we get a death candle, it shouldn't matter. But if we chop, then yeah, it'll matter. And at that point, I won't take the trade. Like right now, this is chop. I mean, yeah, this is horrible, right? Macro normally is when we should start seeing price distribute, and the fact that we're not seeing, any movement in either direction here is just a sign that, like, okay, we're probably just gonna chop through the rest of the macro. Tanya said she wants to long. All right, well there you go. Shorts confirmed. GG. By the way, I'm just playing. Tanya's fine. I'm just messing around. Although I think it's very funny that as soon as she hopped in short, we just pumped like 50 points. Three micro short incoming. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Is Tanya not profitable? Yeah, she's profitable, I think. I don't know. She's posted proof before. All right. This short is chopped. Yeah, it is vert. It's over. Remember how I said, though, how this 15-minute gap doesn't really have a lot of significance, and so we'll probably just kind of cut up through it. I mean, we haven't necessarily pushed up through it yet, but it's not looking amazing. We just left equal highs. Oh, yeah. I mean, these equal highs don't matter. I'll still take a short even with them. Can we play a game like we do in PM? No, because I'm getting off in like 15 minutes here. So I'll just keep answering questions. Check 2 minute. Yeah, I mean 2 minute. Well, yeah, 1 minute's still better. Yeah, it's still going to be the one. If you're talking about the 2 minute to the upside, I'm good on that. It's way too high in premium. Check 5 minute. Why? Singular obvious gap. I mean, I feel like the more obvious gap there is going to be the 1 minute. We did rebalance the 5, true. Yeah, and we got an SMT at that low, so we should just hopefully push up here on the hourly close, and then I can finally take profit on my options since, you know, if we're going to see any distribution, it's going to be in the first 10 minutes of the hourly candle. And then we'll probably just see, you know, either slow grind up or chop, which I don't want to be a part of, considering we'll probably eat away at my theta for these contracts. What plays did the Doji indicator call really well today? I have no idea. I think the indicator alerted the same trade that Doji took overnight, so maybe that one, but it alerted a loss there on the 3 minute. Wait, why? Oh, it's because I have all. That's why. Okay. Let's refresh. Okay, so that's gone now. So yeah, it alerted this trade here. Looks like it ended up being a loss, but it wasn't valid because we never closed over. It alerted this 3 minute trade, and that was a win, but we hit the low first, so that actually was probably not a win. And then I don't know. What else? Anything? Any 5 minutes? 15, 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay. So it alerted this 1 minute as a win, but that was probably just a break-even trade. So yeah, honestly, not really anything today. So you're not really missing out on anything. If the indicator isn't really alerting anything textbook, then that means that you're doing a good job as a trader. If you haven't taken anything. But yeah, we got 11 o'clock here in a minute, so we'll see what Price wants to do. TB, we got a 35 points, I think, yesterday, but just ended up being a break even because the TP wasn't 1-to-1. But yeah, like yesterday, the play that we took was this. Where was it? It was this long here. We actually, Doji entered a options play short here, and we were like, nah, we're actually going to take the long. And so we jumped in that, and it ended up being a break even. Because we never had hit 1-to-1. So here's 11. Okay. Ideal pump candle there. Let's check this last 15-minute candle, how it printed. So we rebalanced the previous candle. That's good. No inefficiency there, just the inefficiency from before. Honestly, if we came up here and put in another 15-minute candle above this one and created the OB, that would be so good for longs. That might convince me to hold my contract for like the entire day if that happened. Because we probably won't stop at this 15-minute gap here. We'll probably just keep running. And then there's no roadblock in the way up past that. Is this a good short on 1 minute now? Probably not. Not anymore. I think we're just going to long here. We're just going to go up around the highs again. Break through the 15. And that'll be that. Hopefully ES and NQ align here and we just keep going up. Because right now they're kind of uncorrelated. My contracts are about to be in the money. That'll be cool. There we go. Okay. So that was the move I wanted to see after 11, right? I said, once 11 o'clock hits, those first 10 minutes will be where we distribute. So we're finally seeing that distribution of the upside. All right, my options are now up very nicely. Hopefully we just keep pumping here. Probably take 2 off at 100%. That way that I can cover my initial risk. How would you come back from 1.2K drawdown on eval? It depends on if you're a 25K or a 50K. If you're on a 50K, just keep trading as normal. If you're on a 25K, you can always just full port for like CPI or whatever. I just scaled there on my options for 50, or I mean for 100%. Bye. Okay, bro. Yeah, if we play Fortnite at the same time, that would be sick. And he's gone. All right. Well, I feel like we're probably not going to see a play now, right? We're just going straight up. We violated all the bearish higher time frame gaps here. So if we put in this 1 minute OB to the upside, we'll probably just see more buy side get hit here. Is this Ford season worth playing? I really like it, but it's up to you. I mean, it might not be for you just based on like it's got a lot of superhero abilities, and that's kind of what I like. There's like this pair of goggles that gives you wall axe, and then there's these gloves that you throw on, and they like send a sonic boom that like breaks builds and gives you a jump boost and whatever else. I think it's cool. I should have just cut everything there. We got another 10 minutes until that 15-minute candle closes. We still have 5 more minutes in the macro. If we were to get like this short, I would never take this because at this point we're just far too bullish. I think we just probably go up for the remainder of the day until we hit buy side. By the way, I don't know for those of you in PM if you saw my message yesterday in the trade recaps channel, but I said shorting is cooked. I mean, I said external sell side is a pipe dream, so I'm kind of sticking to that idea. Where's buy side? Probably the data high, but that won't be confirmed until we inverse probably this 30-minute gap, and then once we inverse this 30-minute, I'll expect that because there's not really any roadblocks in the way after that. But yeah, 3.5 more minutes here, the macro. I feel like a pullback here makes sense. You left a lot of inefficiencies behind you in this 2 minute gap. So if we got this like 2 or 3 minute here, it's interesting, right? But is it a trade we ever take? Probably not. We're just too bullish, I think, at this point. So, guys, like, if you're struggling right now because of the lack of trades, I feel like anytime you're struggling with psychology, it has to do with a confidence issue, right? Right now, your confidence issue, if you're struggling with not taking trades, is that you don't believe that price is going to get better and we're going to see trades in the future, or you're not confident in your abilities to prevent yourself from taking trades in bad PA. It's one of those two scenarios. And so building confidence comes from two things most of the time. It's time and information, right? And time is kind of like a component of information because the more time you spend doing something, the more information you gather, right? And so if you're missing information, like you just have a lack of information, then your best bet in this scenario is to go and back test and, you know, fill that gap where you're missing information so that you can see through historical data how price operates in these cycles where we have good price action and then bad price action, right? So you can learn that and see that, okay, you know, this is normal, right? And that will help build your confidence as far as like watching the market. And then as far as like time goes, if you're struggling right now because you've only been watching the market for a couple months, or you've only been in this Discord for a couple months, and you're seeing this bad PA, and you know how good of the price action we've gotten was, then that tells me that like you just basically need to, you know, continue to watch and spend more time, you know, with the charts. Because like I've been through this cycle where price has gotten bad after a period of good price action, like this last April and May, plenty of times. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense in terms of market seasonality, right? You know, they have a saying for traders, it's like go away in May or whatever, right? That's usually because a lot of big players will take vacations or summer trips or whatever, and so there's less volume typically in the market over the summer months, and it can create for worse price conditions. But overall, I mean, I think the biggest reason why we're chopping right now isn't even because of that, because of market seasonality. None of that really matters. The biggest thing is just we have conflicting draws, and we're kind of getting into this all-time highs price action. For those of you that have never really traded at all-time highs because you just recently joined the market back after this tariff dump, all-time highs leads for some pretty choppy like PA where we struggle to hit sell-side targets. And so because we struggle to hit sell-side targets, it's often just as difficult to find a long as it is a short. Because whenever we're trying to long, we're trying to long from like discount after we've taken out sell-side. And so when we struggle to take sell side, it's like, okay, we're not meeting my condition to take a long, and we're struggling to take profit on shorts. Okay? And so your best bet as a trader, whenever we're in these conditions, is to stick to a system that makes you confident in taking your trades and taking trades subjectively. My system for taking trades subjectively right now is bias, momentum, time, model. If one of these two concepts, momentum, time, or model, don't align with bias, then I don't take a trade. Okay? And that's really easy to figure out whether or not a trade aligns with bias. And all you have to do in order to figure out bias is look at order flow or delivery and see, okay, does that a line with a draw, and then can I get a bias, okay? And if we have a conflicting draw, equals no draw, okay? And if we have conflicting order flow, meaning higher time frame slash lower time frame, then there's no order flow slash delivery, right? And so you're just going to go into the market and constantly evaluate these things all day when you're trying to figure out your bias. And then once you have a bias, all you have to do is wait for your basically your mechanical condition and evaluate that to see, okay, is it during the macro or is it not? And if it's not, well, then you have a pretty easy day, right? Because all you have to do is essentially just watch for the model. And if it is during the macro, then okay, great. If we get the play, then that's that. So, by the way, SMTs with YM, literally just like don't have any basis. I haven't gone on a YM rant in a minute, so I'll do it right now for fun. If you look at the Dow 30 by weight, which is YM, and you look at the NASDAQ by weight, what you're going to notice immediately. Tell me what pops up, you know, as soon as you start looking at these two lists. What stands out to you? Microsoft. Okay, so Microsoft is at the top for both. What else? Anything? If you can't you know come to a solution about like what's similar, that's on purpose. The weight that we have of these companies, right? So this list is sorted by weight. So all the companies that hold the most weight in the Dow here are listed at the top. And so for a while that used to be United Health Group, but they've taken a slump recently. And so now it's Goldman Sachs, okay? Now if you look at NQ, what's at the top? We have Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, okay? So when we have these two indices that first of all don't even have the same companies in them, right? And then the weights are completely different. Why would one indice's SMT matter for the other here? Now let's take a look at the S&P. Okay. What do you notice about the S&P and the NASDAQ? Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet. Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet. Meta, Broadcom, Tesla. Meta, Broadcom, Tesla. And then we get Berkshire and Walmart, and they're not there because they're not really big tech. So if you look at like essentially the top, I don't know, what is this, like 50% of the NASDAQ and like the top 40 or 30% of the S&P, you can see that there's a considerable overlap. So when we're looking at these indices on their own, we can see that, okay, these are pretty comparable. They're pretty similar by weight. And so when we get an SMT, those are more significant because they're actually like, they're playing off each other a little bit, right? And so for YM, it just doesn't make any sense to compare it to these two. At least these two have similarities. YM just doesn't. So whenever somebody says that there's like an SMT with YM, all I think is like, oh, okay. But yeah, basically just don't use YM for SMTs. Which SMT we take? We take the SMT with the ES and an NQ. 3 minute looking all right. 3 minute is now officially outside the macro time. So let's go back, okay? Bias, order flow is clearly bullish right now. Momentum, we never inverse that 15 actually. So, I mean, I don't know. Order flow is a little bit weird, but we basically don't have bias here. Momentum sucks. We're outside the macro. And, like, where's our liquidity sweep here for the short? There isn't one. So this is just like a bad trade. This is just like shorting on the buy side of the curve. All right. I mean, it might work, but it's probably going to be a break even, right? If this is going to be our entry here, then this is our break even. I mean, it's like 10 points to the break even, but your risk for the break even right now is just getting worse and worse as we get lower and lower here. So you have 0.25. No, okay, now it's completely invalid. So invalid trade there. Now we have an SMT at this low. Okay, so well, wait, no, now it's equal lows on the S. We'll see. It looks like that's going to be broken. No, maybe not. So yeah, I mean, kind of a SMT or not really though. But anyway, that's going to be it for me, guys. I think probably not much else for us to speak on here. All right, I'll catch you guys for PM. Peace out.